An MD-80 is taking off from Madrid airport with 172 passengers. However, a few seconds after takeoff, the plane begins to fall. What happened? This is what we know. August 20th, 2008, Adolfo Suarez International Airport, Madrid, Spain. Spanair Flight 5022 is a passenger flight from Barcelona to the island of Gran Canaria with a stopover in Madrid. It is also a Star Alliance codeshare operated on behalf of Lufthansa as LH2554. Spanair was a Spanish airline incorporated in 1986 and ceased operations on January 28, 2012. At 1 p.m., Flight 5022 leaves the boarding gate and begins to reverse and launch for its scheduled departure to the Gran Canaria airport. The plane is a McDonnell Douglas M82, manufactured in 1993 and delivered to the Korean Air airline. In July 1999, it became part of the Spanair fleet, registered in Spain with the registration Echo Charlie Hotel Foxtrot. The plane has two Pratt & Whitney JT-8D engines. The captain is Antonio Garcia Luna, 39 years old with 8,476 accumulated flight hours, of which 2,700 were carried out as an Army officer. His experience in the MD-80 is 5,776 hours. The first officer is Francisco Javier Mulet, 31 years old. Mulet has only been working for Spanair for a year and a half and has 1,276 flight hours of experience, 1,054 of which are on this model of airplane. At 1:25 in the afternoon, Flight 5022 is on runway 36 left with authorization to take off. However, the crew has detected a problem. They notice an abnormal reading on the probe on one of the temperature gauges, so they decide to cancel the takeoff and return to the platform. The captain notifies the passengers that the plane had a breakdown and suspends the takeoff. The maintenance technicians approach the plane and begin working after several minutes. It is confirmed that the heating circuit of the rad probe is faulty, and they use dry ice to cool the sensor. The minimum equipment list allows the airplane to be dispatched with the probe heating inoperative as long as freezing is not expected during the flight. As such conditions were not foreseen, the probe heating was deactivated, and the airplane was declared fit for service. At 2:15 in the afternoon, Spanair Flight 5022, more than an hour late, begins taxiing to runway 36 left for the second time on the flight, with 166 passengers and 6 crew members. At 2:23 in the afternoon, the plane is new on runway 36 left with clearance to take off. But here, the problems begin. In preparation for takeoff, the pilots did not deploy the flaps or slats. Without these hyperlift devices, the wings cannot generate enough lift to keep the plane in the air. At 2:24, the brakes were released, and the aircraft began its takeoff roll. The plane has a system that should have alerted the pilots that the aircraft was not configured for takeoff. However, the warning did not sound. Spanair Flight 5022 reaches a speed of 147 knots when the front landing gear left the ground, the stall warning vibrator. At this moment, the pilots believe they have an engine failure and do not realize that they have not configured the plane correctly. The M-80 rose to a height of 40 feet from the ground, then veered to the right, lost altitude, and crashed in the vicinity of the runway, breaking into several pieces that were shattered by the subsequent explosion.
Oye, Blanca,
¿Qué?
que ha habido un accidente en la cabecera de la 33 izquierda.
Ahí están llamando.
Perdona, 33 izquierda no, de la 36... de la
Pero, ¿de
18
aviación?
derecha.
¿Un avión?
¿Ha sido aviación?
The cause of the accident was that the crew lost control of the airplane due to the stall just after takeoff.
Mira, el accidente ha sido en la 36 izquierda, en el margen derecho. ¿Te parece que sigamos utilizando la 36 derecha?
Un momentito. Si no impiden las operaciones, de momento sí.
Que hay supervivientes, gente caminando entre fuegos,
Entonces, a mí no me parece prudente poner la pista derecha en un... porque puede meterse alguien en la pista, lo que sea.
Vale,
O sea,
correcto.
que lo paramos todo.
Y con estos datos saben llegar, ¿no?
Sí.
This situation occurred because the pilots did not deploy the airplane's flaps after not correctly following the procedure in 3 different checklists. The crew did not identify the stall situation and did not correct it. The report points out 2 contributing factors. Firstly, the takeoff configuration alarm that could have warned them did not work. And secondly, incorrect management of the crew's resources that did not prevent them from deviating from the procedure. The flaps are a surface located on the wings of the airplane that are essential for takeoff.
Evacuados 27.
Sí, y fallecidos 81.
Datos finales.
No, no, que va, en absoluto. Y subiendo. Bueno,
Vale.
ahora voy para allá.
Ok,
Ahora.
gracias.
In the final report of the Civil Aviation Accident and Incident Investigation Commission, it states that the recorded values of flap deflection were 0 degrees. That is, they were not deployed, something that is a sufficient cause to cause the accident. It was proven that in the rush to take off, the pilots did not completely execute the checklists before takeoff. In fact, they skipped the part corresponding to the configuration of the flaps on 3 occasions. The takeoff configuration warning system is a system that alerts. If the flap configuration is not correct, however, it did not work. So the pilot continued his course and began the takeoff roll, with the flaps retracted without knowing it throughout the flight. No sound was recorded related to the improper configuration warning system for takeoff. A possible explanation why the plane did not warn of a bad configuration at takeoff is that the technicians had manipulated the K33 circuit breaker and had forgotten to restore its correct position, thereby accidentally disconnecting the warning system. However, it was not possible to conclusively determine that this was the cause. Of the 172 people traveling on board, 154 died in the crash or later in the violent fire, including the 6 crew.